So I'm trying some pretty cool new things out in the cold frames this year for over the winter time, and I want to document all those projects in this video. Alright, so in the cold frame for this fall season, or in this cold frame anyway, I have a bunch of parsley, which I direct seeded. This is from parsley seed that I collected from plants the year before. And so I just direct seeded. I actually seeded a lot of parsley in here, and a few plants came up. It was probably like a 10% germination, but you know, the plants grow. I put some compost down in there too, and so they grew really nice and big. The few plants that came up, and they filled the space in pretty nice. In fact, I'm gonna kind of clean some of this up. Now I also have some cabbage plants in here too that I transplanted in here a couple of weeks ago. I mean a couple of days ago, because we had some sub-freezing temperature. It was going down to like 25, 26, 28 or so at night, a few nights. So I tucked in some of these cabbage plants, which I actually planted back in May in the garden. And they just kind of got shaded out. I never really ended up, fertilizing them with compost or anything, and just kind of forgot about them until a few days ago. So so they never really like got big or produced anything. But I figured I'd try to grow them out and kind of have some seed stock to kind of update the seed stock, because it's going on like 7-8 years or so of that cabbage seed that I've had. Never really did much with it, but there's some more cabbage back there too. Alright, so in this cold frame I have the oregano back here that I pruned back. I actually collected some seeds, or hopefully collected some seeds off of that before I pruned it back. So maybe I'll be able to propagate some more. Also, I did take a part of that oregano plant, and actually I transplanted part of it on the other front corner of the cold frame. So maybe I'll get another plant off of that. And then I have the baldhead mustard here, a bunch of plants here. So hopefully those will overwinter, and then I can get some seeds off of those. I've just been trying to be observant, make sure there are no like any cabbage worms on it or anything like that. And if they do, I just pick them off, because I don't want I don't want those plants getting torn up or anything like that. And then also I have to make sure that they get watered as well, because especially in the back of the cold frame, when it rains and the frame is open, it only kind of gets in the front usually, and it can get pretty dry in the back. And sometimes, like in the winter, you can have changes. You can have changes in temperature. And the soil can dry out, and it might need watering every once in a while. I have had plants actually dehydrate, like die from lack of water during the winter. I mean, if everything's frozen and the plants are kind of a little bit more dormant, it's usually not as much of an issue, but sometimes it is. So it's always good to check on that and make sure the plants are doing okay and they have the moisture that they need, even when it does like warm up at any time during the winter or whatever the case may be. Now in this cold frame I have two red Russian kale plants here. Right there, pretty small. I transplanted those in the other day. And then these are 4 leaf celery plants that produce the edible leaves. Very strong celery flavor. I'm hopefully going to be able to overwinter those in this cold frame. I have some rosemary hidden back there. Maybe I can get some seeds from the leaf celery too, and propagate more of that, because that was really delicious. So in this cold frame I have some rutabaga plants that I transplanted over probably a few weeks ago, or actually probably a few months ago. There's some garlic mustard in here too. Found its way in. But yeah, so hopefully just continuing to grow the seed stock of the rutabagas. That's the main objective. And so in this 5th cold frame, I really don't have that much going on in there right now. But I do have this Daikon radish plant. It's got a pretty big root at the base. There you go. Just for a size comparison, that's pretty big. All right. So this plant I just put in the cold frame to protect it from any potential frost, since this is actually the only daikon radish that I am saving for seed currently, and it was a pretty good choice because it seems to be growing really well, so it probably has some pretty good genetics and all that. So I have it in this cold frame. I trimmed off some of the leaves so they're not going to get bitten by the frost by contact on the top of the cold frame glass. So it's important to try to minimize as much of the glass contact from the top of the frame, because that'll suck the heat out of the leaves and it can cause damage. So what I did here was I dug the hole in the ground extra deep so that the daikon radish could, because I transplanted the daikon radish from a different part of the garden, and so I transplanted it extra deep so that this daikon radish wasn't squashed at the top of the cold frame or anything like that. I probably could have even dug the hole a little deeper, but you know, this is what we got going on now. It seems to be doing okay. We haven't had a cold winter yet. We'll see if that happens in January or February, but so far so good. You can kind of see, you know, at the roots, you know, there might be a little bit of vole damage. It doesn't seem too bad yet, but like if it remains at that level, the plant will probably be just fine. But you know, if it gets too much worse, then we might have to do something. But maybe what I could do is I could, you know, sprinkle some cayenne pepper or something like that around the root, or do some type of spray, you know, cayenne pepper spray, and that might help. But I'm not too worried about it right now. So the less I have to interfere, the better. But you know, I don't want to get caught when it's too late. So I hope you enjoyed this video on all the different things I have going on in the cold frames this year. For like a small scale backyard gardener, cold frames are an excellent option for season extension and being able to grow plants for seed or even grow plants for food for over the winter time when it's pretty cold outside and not a lot of plants are growing, especially up north. So thank you so much for checking out this video. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care.